3 games in 3 days for a chance to dance. Hello and welcome to the Bison Basketball Show. I'm your host, Brian Shawn. The North Dakota State men's basketball team entered the Summit League tournament as the 4 seed, winning 6 out of its last 9 games. Although the Bison certainly weren't the favorites, they put it together at the right time and had one magical weekend. It all started against 5 seed Oral Roberts in the quarterfinals. The Bison looking for their 3rd win of the season over ORU, but the Golden Eagles would hit their first 10 shots from the floor. Kevin O'Banner, a double-double on the night with 23 points and 10 rebounds as NDSU trailed by 13 early. Cameron Hunter came off the bench and gave the Bison a big boost, hitting 4 straight three-pointers. NDSU was 9 of 16 from long range in the first 20 minutes. Tyree Eady also came off the bench and scored a couple of baskets to keep NDSU close. The feed and lay-in, North Dakota State got 28 points off the bench, and it was a 5-point game at halftime. The Bison held ORU without a basket for the first 14 minutes of the second half, going on a 15-2 run. Tyson Ward scored 19 of his game-high 25 points in the second 20 minutes, 2 on this turnaround in the paint. Jared Samuelson also added 15 points, hitting 3 of 5 from long range as the lead was pushed to 10. NDSU hit 24 second-half free throws to outscore Oral Roberts 43-25 in the second half to win by 13. The Bison tied a season high with 7 blocks in the contest. Next was a matchup with 8 seed Western Illinois, who pulled off the first-round upset of South Dakota State. Dengu came off the bench to score 10 first-half points, cleaning up his own miss early on for a 4-point lead. Later, Vinny Shahid drives and dishes to Sam Griesel for 2. NDSU would lead by as many as 15 and take a 9-point lead into the locker room. The Leathernecks would rally all the way back in the second half to briefly go in front, CJ Duff knocking down the 3 with just under 9 minutes left. The Bison shot just 38% in the second half, but got a clutch 3 from Griesel. He scored a career-high 20 points as NDSU hit 14 of 26 from long range. Western Illinois had 2 final chances to tie it up late. Kobe Webster's step-back 3 rims off. Duff would also get a shot up in the closing seconds that comes up short, and North Dakota State holds on to advance to the Summit League Championship for the first time since 2016. 76-73 the final. Shahid also added 14 points for the Bison, who committed just 5 total turnovers. NDSU would take on 2 seed Omaha in the tournament championship game, having dropped both games to the Mavericks in the regular season. Bison start out strong. Cameron Hunter continued his hot shooting, hitting 3 three-pointers and scoring 12 points off the bench as the lead grows to 7. Tyson Ward attacked the paint early and often, posting up multiple times inside. He hit 6 of 9 from the floor, scoring 11 first-half points. Omaha had no field goals in the final 6.5 minutes of the first half as the Bison defense locked in. Off the miss, Vinny Shahid takes it back and lays it in, and North Dakota State led by 14 at halftime. In the second half, Shahid really carried the offense, hitting big shot after big shot. The deep 3 with time winding down on the shot clock put the Bison up by 9, but the Mavericks respond with a 12-2 run to tie it up with just under 8 minutes left. Matt Pyle with the offensive rebound and putback. He had a double-double with 12 points and 14 rebounds. But NDSU answers back again with 9 straight points. Ward backing his way down low and flipping it off the glass with just over 3 minutes left. He finished with 15 points and 7 rebounds. Shahid scored 20 second-half points, making 6 of his 8 shot attempts in the final 20 minutes and was named tournament MVP. Next Bison possession, Omaha playing zone and Sam Griesel dropping it off to Rocky Cruiser for the big jam. And then with just over a minute to go, Ward out to Samuelson, who knocks down another big 3 in crunch time. NDSU shot 48% from 3-point range in the tournament, and the celebration is on. North Dakota State winning its 4th Summit League tournament in the past 10 years. 73-63 is the final.
You know, we stuck with each other and stuff like that. We kept on working hard. We knew we could do it here. We went out and played our hardest, and we got the win. So we're all happy right now.
Always kept fighting, man. We've been in these situations before. Earlier in the season, lost them. You know, SDSU lost. I mean, about time we get one, man. We're so happy and just kept fighting, man. I don't know what to say. I'm so happy.
Just a rush of emotions right now. They made a ton of runs. A lot of credit to them. They're obviously a really well-coached team, but we prevailed in the end.
We knew we were young. Our motto was trust the process throughout the year, and we just kept pushing. Even when we're low, we just kept pushing, kept a positive attitude, and at the end, we were able to get here.
I said, hey guys, we got to put together a couple stops here. And my teammates started pumping me with confidence. They started saying, keep shooting, keep shooting, keep shooting. They wanted the ball in my hands. and that means a lot. That means a lot for me as to be a first-year guy here.
We just rolled with it. We all got together in practice, and we're like, hey, what do we really want to do? And we want to win conference championships. So we just got together. Practices got harder. We got together, 4 younger guys talking to the older guys, just building our confidence together, and we got it.
It's been great watching this team all year, the way they've grown and grown and grown, and really they're playing their best basketball right now. And so proud of these guys, the heart. And the thing with Coach Richman and I were talking about this morning, these guys love playing together. They love each other, and you saw it out here the last 3 days.
The Bison return home and anxiously awaited to find out who they'd play on Selection Sunday. We'll recap that and sit down with NDSU men's basketball coach David Richman after this.
The Bison Basketball Show on Midco Sports Network is presented by NODAC Insurance Company and Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Welcome back. After capturing the program's 4th Summit League Tournament championship, North Dakota State players and coaches had a chance to welcome some fans here to the Shield Center inside the Sanford Health Athletic Complex on Selection Sunday. Fans had a chance to meet some of their favorite players and get autographs, and when it finally came time for the selection show, the Bison fans didn't have to wait long.
First and second round games in Columbia, South Carolina on Friday and Sunday. Duke will play the winner of the first 4 game in Dayton on Wednesday between North Carolina Central's Eagles out of the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference and North Dakota State's Bison out of the Summit League. The winner of that game will be the 16 seed going against Duke.
The biggest thing is just excited, obviously. Getting the NCAA tournament is just a blessing in itself. So we're excited, and let's go get a win and then continue on from there.
You know, honestly, I think everyone's reaction is, just happy to get our name called on Selection Sunday. It's a blessing to be just in the tournament in general, and now we get the chance to go win another game in the tournament. You got to focus on North Carolina Central now, and then the next game after that, and hopefully the next game after that. Take it one step at a time and keep moving on in the tournament.
We are now joined by North Dakota State men's basketball coach David Richman. The Bison, it's been a whirlwind couple of weeks after winning 3 games in 3 days at the Summit League Tournament and then waiting about a week for the selection show. Dave, how do you put the last 9-10 days into words? It has been so many crazy moments, even in and out of games, to get to this point.
Yeah, it really has, Brian, but I think that the beauty of it is we've been able to do it all with a smile. And you even go back to our guys in those games Sunday, Monday, Tuesday in Sioux Falls. The spirit and joy that they played with, the connectivity that they played with was a pleasure to watch. And I think as you sit within, certainly there's some anticipation of where you're going, who you're going to play. But to be able to do that with the smile, knowing that you're in the NCAA tournament, is pretty darn cool.
And now I think you guys took a couple of days after the tournament was over. Does it ever give you a chance to reflect a little bit on what happened there in those 3 days? Because it's always the next game, the next game, the next days, but then you guys got a chance to maybe sit back a little bit and rest before you got back to practice again.
I'll be honest with you, that came off my adrenaline high on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and I was struggling a little bit. You're just tired from game planning, and the emotions of the game kind of take its toll, but it was good to regroup a little bit. And I think when it's all said and done, Brian, and we can get together, and probably even in multiple years down the road, 5, 6, 10 years down the road, when we get these groups back together, that's when you really get a chance to reflect.
Did you have a sense, Dave, that your team was ready to put together the weekend you did? Because your guys just played so loose. All 10 guys that were in the rotation all contributed. They didn't only just play, they all contributed in key moments throughout those 3 games.
I know this might sound arrogant, but I did, Brian. I really did. I felt like since we got our tails kicked at South Dakota State, we've been playing a really good brand of basketball. And we take a really good heavy gut punch when Jenkins hit that shot here at the Shack. And it took the wind out of our sails for a little bit. It did, make no mistake about it. But the shot that Vinny hit at Fort Wayne at the end to win that game and to allow us to practice, with great energy and great joy, it was huge. You can't measure the impact of that shot. And I said it to some of our parents in Fort Wayne afterwards. And then you could see it. I think I knew there'd be some tightness to the experience of playing in the Summit League Tournament like there was in the first half. And Oral Roberts came out, on fire. But once we settled in there, they played so loose offensively and played some of the best defense that we'd played all year. It was really fun to watch.
The one thing we probably haven't talked enough about, Dave, and it was so evident in the tournament, is how important bench play is and getting a lot of minutes from guys. Because I think some other teams looked maybe a little fatigued late in games where your group seemed to just kind of hit their second win, so to speak.
Yeah, and you know this stuff better than I do. I believe we're the first team to go back-to-back against somebody that was able to sit on Sunday. And to be the fresher team down the stretch was really cool. I think that's a credit to a lot of people. Coach Miller, our strength and conditioning program, he deserves so much credit. But even a guy like Jordan Horn, who really didn't play until that Fort Wayne game and then played in the tournament, for him to even just still be mentally engaged in that point of the season and be ready to play, and not only play, contribute, it was just a real credit to what we've talked about, 14-1 and 1-14 being really connected.
Then you have to wait. Then you have the selection show here. Fans turn out. Everybody's excited. The guys are excited. I thought that was really cool how all the fans showed up and the autographs and all that. And all of a sudden, you don't have to wait long. The selection show starts, and you're like the first game that pops up. What kind of went through your head when you saw North Carolina Central and Dayton? Yeah, first, to your point there, it was great to see a lot of Bison fans. I think this group deserves for their story to be heard, and for us to see that support was really encouraging. Happy for the guys. But I don't know what the word is, melodramatic. It just happened so fast. You're sitting there, and sometimes you watch that thing all the way for the full hour for your name to be announced. And so, but no matter when it's announced, it's still really cool. And to listen to our guys talk and some of the other media things, or just to see their faces and expressions, for me, that's what it's really all about. Quick turnaround. North Carolina Central, you play them right away Wednesday. If you're fortunate enough to win that, you have one more waiting in South Carolina. How do you get your guys ready to go here again? Oh, I think it'll be pretty easy. It's March. The weather's starting to turn a little bit. We're playing our best brand of basketball. We're really excited. And the playing field is even. The North Carolina Central found out at the same exact time we did who they're playing. And so any excuse is eliminated by the fact that we're a parallel to North Carolina Central in this case. It's fun. It's got to be a fun position to be in, Dave. This is what you play for, right? Absolutely. It's March Madness for a reason, and with a big smile on our faces, to be able to be playing in the big dance, as the guys say, we dancing. It's pretty cool, Brian. You're darn right. Well, congratulations, Dave. I look forward to the ride this week. It's going to be a lot of fun. So are we. Thank you. All right, stay with us here on the Bison Basketball Show. We will recap the Bison Women's Tournament after this.
The Bison Basketball Show on Midco Sports Network is presented by NODAC Insurance Company and Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Welcome back. The North Dakota State women's basketball team had its season come to an end in the Summit League tournament down in Sioux Falls in the quarterfinal round as the 7-seeded Bison took on 2-seed South Dakota. Tyra Spencer and Marina Fernandez playing in their final Summit League tournament as the Bison try to keep pace early. Danica Vagley had a couple of early buckets, including this baseline jumper to cut the early deficit to 5. Sofia Jovalovic came off the bench and hit a 3 early in the second quarter to trim the lead to 10, but the Bison shot just 2 of 10 from outside the arc on the day. And South Dakota's physicality took its toll. The Coyotes finishing the half on a 17-2 run. Hannah Sherbin had her way in the paint, scoring 20 points off the bench on 7 of 10 shooting. It was 41-16 at halftime. Emily Dietz played one of her best games of the season for North Dakota State, scoring 15 of her team-high 20 points in the second half, but the Bison just too big of a hole to dig out of as their season comes to an end, 74-51, NDSU finishing the season at 7-22 overall.
They're a very physical team, and we talked about that going into the game, but I just think that we needed to be a little bit more patient on offense. They got us frantic, and that led to turnovers that were detrimental.
Stay with us here on the Bison Basketball Show as we take a look back at NDSU's first ever Summit League Tournament championship and the story behind the famous shot that catapulted the program into the national spotlight.
The Bison Basketball Show on Midco Sports Network is presented by NODAC Insurance Company and Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Back in 2009, after a long Division I transition, the North Dakota State men's basketball program had its first opportunity to play in the Summit League tournament, and the Bison made it a memorable appearance, winning on one magical shot that will always be remembered. In 2004, as North Dakota State was making the difficult transition to Division I with a dated arena and old wooden bleachers, 4 players took a leap of faith, making the decision to carry the torch for the men's basketball program, knowing they would only get one shot at postseason play.
We all kind of decided, hey, if we redshirt our freshman year, then our redshirt senior year, we have an opportunity to go to the NCAA tournament. You know, we all decided this is the opportunity that we want to go for. This is why we wanted to play college basketball.
And I was so blessed to be a part of that team, being a role player, understanding that, you know, Ben Woodside, Brett Winkelman, and Mike Nelson on that team was 1, 2, and 7 all-time leading scorers in North Dakota State basketball history. Not just on the same team, but in the same class, and that doesn't happen very often in any program in America.
At the first ever Summit League tournament in Sioux Falls, North Dakota State was the top seed after posting an impressive 16-2 conference record. The Bison advanced all the way to the title game against Oakland, looking to become the first men's team in more than 35 years to qualify for the NCAA Tournament in its first year of eligibility.
The previous year, our junior year, we couldn't play even in the conference tournament. You know, it wasn't allowed because of that transition period. Just having the opportunity to play in the conference tournament was special for us, and we were hungry.
The Bison overcame a 12-point deficit in the last 10 minutes of the game to take their first lead, but it's the last 15 seconds that will be remembered most.
I think we were up by 2, and then they dropped it down to Benson. I was weak side help, and I came over and I said, "You're not getting an easy 2 on me."
I think Winks tried to go up and foul him because Benson wasn't that good of a free throw shooter.
I figure if he goes 1 for 2, we got the lead and everything's good. I go up to foul him, and he said, "This ball's going in," and I got pushed out of the way.
Benson slams and ties it up.
After we won the game, I was like, good, nobody's going to remember that. But here we are bringing it up again.
We'll see if they take the timeout.
I didn't want Saul to call a timeout, just because if you call a timeout, then they can get their defense set. They can, you know, pressure full court.
If Coach Phillips calls a timeout in that situation, I think they have time to scheme some things, maybe get the ball out of Woody's hands, and that's not what we wanted, obviously.
We have a very long leash when we played, and so Ben just made a play, and he knew that if he didn't have the look, he had some good shooters open.
Luke Mormon, who's one of the selflessest players I've ever played with and been a part of, you know, set a screen. We call it a vertical screen, but it's not even really a screen, it's more of getting in the way.
Benson was off in the lane, and Benson was a long player, athletic. I didn't want to go to the hoop and try to finish over him, so I just shot a pull-up jumper at 15 feet. If you actually look on the video, Jonathan Jones, who was covering me, actually pushes me on the hip a little bit. They don't call it, but that's kind of how I start to turn. He gives me a little chuck on the hip, but ended up hitting the shot.
For the win with 3.3 seconds.
I didn't even realize there was time still left on the clock, you know, so I remember we're linked arms on the bench. We all jump up, we're yelling, and next thing you know, Jonathan Jones is dribbling down the court.
He got a good look. He was pretty deep. But as soon as I saw it leave his hands, I was contesting him, and I looked up at it, and right from the get-go, it looked like it was going left.
As that shot went in the air, I didn't think it was gonna go in, but the more I looked at it, it was close.
And I had a straight view of it, and I said, that has a chance.
The Bison, in their first year of eligibility, are going to the NCAA Tournament.
Our whole bench rushes, right? And Josh Vaughn, one of the guys, he actually fell twice before getting even to center court. I remember right away, I went and sprinted and I grabbed Woody, gave him a big hug. Well, he's running away, the whole crowd's kind of swarming in, and it looks like I tackled him.
So he hugs me, and then you can see he kind of just puts his weight on me, and then I go down.
I grabbed him, and then I got tripped from behind. Somebody stiff-armed him, or I gouged him, one of the two. Then he wasn't very happy.
About 10 other people stepping on my face, and I was trying to get back and celebrate with my teammates, but I was laying on the floor.
It's hard to really remember vividly being in the moment, ironically enough, but you look at pictures and you smile and you're excited. I mean, there's lots of video footage and photos afterwards that just makes you reminisce and enjoy it.
The celebration lasted for days, and on Selection Sunday, North Dakota State was seeded 14th in the Midwest Regional, matched up with national-powered Kansas in the opening round of the Big Dance.
The game in the Metronome, I mean, there was 15, 16,000 people there, and I bet 10, 12 were NDSU fans. I mean, it was incredible. So the support that the community gave us and the hype that was kind of around it made it special.
Even though their storybook careers ended there, it gave Fargo and the region its first taste of March Madness.
At the time, I didn't know it was going to be, such a big shot. I was just excited that I made it and we're going to the NCAA tournament, but it did kind of transcend into the development of Division I basketball at NDSU.
After his collegiate career ended, Woodside played professionally 8 years overseas, his last season coming with the New Zealand Breakers. He announced his retirement from professional basketball in April of 2017. We're back to wrap up the show after this.
The Bison Basketball Show on Midco Sports Network is presented by NODAC Insurance Company and Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Back for one final goodbye this season on the Bison Basketball Show as we get ready for the NCAA Tournament. North Dakota State will open play with North Carolina Central in the first 4 game as a 16 seed taking on another 16 seed at 5:40 Central Time in Dayton, Ohio. The winner of that contest will take on top seed Duke in South Carolina on Friday. I'll be with the team throughout the week, so be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for all the latest reports. That'll do it for this week's episode. We'll see you next time.